I'm pretty sure I have one upstairs. So third person, which I'm pretty sure is Matthew. Well, like I know it's just me or Matthew. So third person was one of Matthew's ideas. I had put a plus there because I liked it better than my Three Guys, Three Generations one show.
I like that as a tagline.
Huh?
The
The subtitle?
yeah, the three guys who
Yeah,
generations
I
one
was
show.
thinking that. Yeah, I was thinking there could be a subtitle too. I just put that was the first idea that came to my head, so I put it on there first. So third person, three guy. There is a third person podcast already out there, but they haven't done anything since like 2021, so I think we're good.
Okay.
Uh, three guys, three gener. There's also a third person podcasting, not a network, but
Like a service.
I guess, yeah. I don't think that would be a problem. Three guys, three generations, one show. Again, that's what I put up, but that could also be like a subtitle for whatever we go with. My second idea was like Jen with the little cubed.
So Gen Q.
Yeah, but this wouldn't let me do cubed. There's no superscript, is it called?
Yes.
Yeah, that doesn't do that. At least not on the mobile version. It may be on the.
I'm pretty sure it's on the
I don't know. I looked
PC
pretty
version.
hard in the mobile version. Uh,
Mobile
and it
version
had
is limited anyway.
subscript, just not superscript.
Mobile version is limited anyway.
Yeah. I know. Then there's
The basement.
the basement.
I
What do you
like the
think?
next name idea. Topics.
Topics. Yes. So, thoughts, comments, dead silence. Always good for a show.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, I may be biased, but I kind of like third person.
I do like third person. I think.
I think if we have that with the tagline, it kind of separates us from that non-existent show.
My existent show.
Well, he said there was another show called Third Person.
Let's see, yeah. This is where we need. I either need a keyboard or we need your computer to look up stuff. There's like I said, I can't. I can't reach the keyboard. So, all right. So we can go with that. Third person, and then three guys, three generations, one show, which is fine. Uh, oh, another thing of discussion. Length, duration, time.
That was loud.
Is there like a mute your mic button?
On these, no.
Is there like a cough button?
No.
No.
Oh, that's
If you have
professional.
to cough, just go.
Well, my plug doesn't really snap in, so I can.
Ah! Wow, that was
Yours.
loud.
I gotta do it real quick. Okay, I'm back.
Please don't do that every time you cough.
Don't. Please don't. For the love of our ears.
I think I just went a little more deaf in my right ear.
Definitely sounds like it.
All right. Yeah, duration, thoughts, comments.
I
Sean's
mean,
googling.
I think
I am Googling.
we can definitely be longer, like if we need to, but maybe like just an hour or two to start with.
Yeah, I was thinking even to start maybe even less than an hour.
Yeah.
Maybe like somewhere between half an hour, 45 minutes. Like do one, maybe two topics starting out until we kind of
Just get our
feel
toes
more
wet
comfortable.
You want to talk about the third person
with
podcast?
That's the one I was.
Daryl
I found,
Hammond
yes.
and Chris Millhouse.
Yes.
22nd of
Who's
Philip.
the third person?
I think they're speaking in the third person. I think
Oh,
it's
they're
a literary
an interview
reference.
show.
Okay,
It's a 2-on-1 interview, so it's about the third person.
gotcha. Well,
Yeah.
shout out to Daryl Hannah. No, Daryl.
Daryl Hammond and Chris Millhouse.
There was a Daryl Hannah. She played. She was the mermaid. There was a movie.
Is it
Daryl Hannah. You're the one with the phone. Since I can't reach a computer, I'm going to be very professional. Look stuff up on my phone.
It's very professional.
You can still be professional and stuff.
Daryl Hannah fish movie.
I can hear all of your phone audio.
Turn those off.
I said
please.
professional. Oh, because I said professional. Splash, that was it. She played a mermaid.
Let me see it.
What do you want to see?
Pictures of it. I don't think I ever actually saw that movie.
Get rid of that. Get better research results. Splash, yeah, that was it. Splash.
Yeah, I never actually watched it, but I definitely think I've seen of it.
What on earth is that?
That's Pout Pout Fish the movies, obviously.
It's the Pout Pout Fish movie. Come on.
And a fish.
And when did that come out? Because I was probably like Sean's age when this came out.
It
1984.
definitely
I
judging
was
by the poster.
14.
Look, the Twin Towers are still up.
Well, I mean, they were up until 2001.
Yeah, I know. It's hard dating. It's like carbon dating with pictures of the New York
Yeah.
skyline.
Okay. Well, I don't have a video for that, but segue. That was one of the topics I had on here. Conspiracy theories.
Oh, obviously Bush did 9/11.
9/11. What are your guys' thoughts on 9/11, being as you're from different generations than me?
Why am I going first?
Because you're in the middle.
Your order.
If we went by that, I would go first.
I mean, I don't remember it, or nor do I remember.
You weren't alive. No, you were alive. You were 5?
I was 4.
4? No, you were 5.
I was born in 97.
I thought you were born 96.
97.
Oh, so you're really his generation. You're like the first year of.
No, he's
It
still a
really
millennial.
depends on where you look.
He's,
Most of what I saw is to 96.
I've seen otherwise.
Yeah, I have to. So anyway, what do you think? You were 5, 4 or 5.
Yeah, I was 4 or 5. I don't really remember it at all.
I mean, to be fair, you don't remember last week.
That's correct. So I definitely don't remember when I was 5 years old. I don't know. I'm definitely like I'm insensitive to it. Like it happened.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's like it's been enough time. I think most people are insensitive to it. It's not like people.
I don't know. If
I mean, I'm sure if you had family that was, you lost, I'm sure you're gonna be sensitive about it no matter what. But I mean, for the most Americans are not like, oh my God, like when it happened, like
Mhm.
like looking at back at Pearl Harbor. It's not like, it's not that. It's not, it's not now. It's not fresh. But I mean, you probably learned about it in school, which I didn't. Like, what did they teach you about it in school?
that it happened.
Check. Give those
Basically,
teachers a raise.
really, all we got was it happened. We got how many planes there were, where they were. Get off of there. Okay, well, we're looking at the ceiling now. Need a water gun.
No, not on the computer. We
I was about to say, with the electronics and
How
these
did you
many
have that
wires,
on there?
no.
Well, it just
Oh, I
hooks
see.
on. It just hangs there.
don't. Gotcha.
I,
How
I
did we-
don't think that's what the.
Keep talking.
So basically,
Money.
like all we learned in school was that, like, yes, it happened. There was however many planes, the 3 planes,
Uh,
2 to New York,
One
1
in the
to the
Pentagon,
Pentagon that
4
crashed
if you count
somewhere.
the one that crashed in Pennsylvania.
Oh, I thought the one in the Pentagon crashed somewhere.
No, the
Pentagon
Pentagon one
crashed into
crashed
the
in the
Pentagon.
Pentagon.
Oh, okay, yeah. See, well,
And
that proves how well I remember.
which is one of the conspiracies because they say, and I'm not a pilot, but it's hard to get down to the ground that low to the ground and have accuracy enough to hit a specific building because the Pentagon's only like maybe 5 stories tall. It's not a big building. I mean, it's
But
a big building. It's
a
not a
wide
tall
it's a
building.
wide thing though.
Right, but
I,
I mean
I
they
kind of figured if you were gonna aim at a building on the ground, you would nosedive into it.
no, they came in like low from the side.
That's weird. Why would you do that?
Well, again, I don't
That's
think
part of
they
the
were real
conspiracy.
pilots either. So,
Neither am I.
well, you got to remember there's a hole in the middle of the Pentagon, so you don't want to come down in the middle of it because you're not doing anything.
No, right? You don't want to go in the middle, but like the sides are pretty long, and
Mhm.
there's 5 of them. Line up with one of the sides, and then as you get over it, just down into it. You take out a fifth of the Pentagon. Purely hypothetically.
Well, no, it happened.
Not the way I'm talking about it. It didn't.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Hogan.
No, that was Randy Savage.
Oh, sorry.
Macho Man.
The Macho Randy Savage. Sorry, they sound kind of similar.
Yeah, but that's one of the conspiracies, and then another thing, not so much conspiracy, is like,
Jet fuel can't melt steel beams.
well, that's no, I was talking about specifically the Pentagon. Is it always like people from my generation and older? A lot of us were very surprised that there was no like defenses around Washington D.C. like air defense. Like you would think like there would be some magic missile would come out of the ground and shoot anything out of the sky that's like aiming for a building.
You'd think.
Right. I mean, we were always. I don't know that we were ever told that, but we always assumed, like in movies and stuff, like you always assume, like, well, it's the Capitol, of course, it's protected, right?
Of course. Obviously.
Because you wouldn't want that to happen, right?
Something's going to come out of the Statue of Liberty and hit someone all the way in Washington.
Yeah. But I think since then we've all learned that there's no protection.
There's nothing.
Um. So yeah, and then you got the towers, obviously. But there was the one plane that went down in Pennsylvania, which was pretty much taken down by the passengers.
That one was heading to the Capitol, wasn't it?
I
I'm pretty sure
don't know if they knew exactly where it was heading, but I think so.
I think they hypothesized it was going to hit the White House.
I think that one was definitely head. I think they, from the flight path, they assumed it was heading towards D.C. So, but they don't know obviously what the final target would have been.
Yeah.
But the passengers had heard reports of what had happened already,
Mhm.
and they pretty much said, well, we're not going to just let them fly us into a building, no matter what. They didn't know what their target was either, so they just
Mhm.
took it down.
You're going to go out, make it your own terms.
Yeah. And then obviously you got the Twin Towers, which was the conspiracy on that is obviously that
Sheffield
they
can't
wouldn't-
burn.
they wouldn't come down like that, the way they came down and stuff like that.
The way they came down kind of looked like the way controlled demolitions come down.
Right.
Mhm.
Which is here's my well, I mean, to answer that conspiracy, obviously, like all buildings in the city are built that way.
Yeah.
If there's a failure, they're built to collapse in on themselves, so you don't take out 20 city blocks.
Mhm.
And then there's the people who say that jet fuel can't burn hot enough to melt through steel.
Yeah.
But it can still bend.
Yeah, it can probably hurt it.
And once it starts bending, it's
over.
yeah. I mean, yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, well, I don't remember how tall the Twin Towers were specifically, but
Fairly.
at least 10, 15 stories.
At least.
My thing with 9/11 conspiracies is, I mean, the protecting DC isn't a conspiracy. It's just like, our government sucks. Because they wouldn't protect.
They can't even protect themselves.
Yeah. But conspiracy-wise, I mean, obviously 9/11 happened, and I think pretty much what we saw happen is what happened. It's not like I don't think there was thermite paint in the Twin Towers because you know how long it would take to paint all the steel beams in
That's
the
a
Twin
lot of
Towers with
thermite.
thermite paint.
That's a lot
Yeah,
of thermite.
how much thermite it would take and how long it would take. Yeah, you'd have to be planning that for years. And like the steel beams aren't like out in the open; they're all behind wall. You'd have to take all the walls down to get the steel
Mhm.
beams. Um,
Ugh.
so I do think pretty much the way it's told to us how it happened is how it happened.
The worst thing to come out of it is airport security.
Yeah, well, you take your shoes off, you know, be careful. Don't forget Hoover Dam security. I had to I had to take my multi-tool out of my wallet. You remember you got me that for Christmas one year, Sean?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I had to give it to the security guy at the Hoover Dam gift visitor center.
Did you give it
I
back?
no.
Really?
You just lost. You just gave it to Hoover Dam. They just have it.
Well, to be fair, it was probably like a $2.
Probably.
It's
But
not
still.
like it's not like I'm out a big thing. Uh, I've only ever used it, I think, twice,
I
and
don't
that's
think I've ever
probably
used it.
probably 5 or 6 years now at least. I didn't remember I had it. He's like, "You have a multi-tool in your wallet." I'm like, "Oh, the Matthew's there." I'm like, "No, I don't." Like, what are you talking about? He's like, "Where's your multi-tool at?" I'm like, "What?" I would like Matt, you were. Did you see me? I had to like. I'm
No,
like, I didn't remember where in my wallet it was. I'm like,
I thought you were. I thought they were stopping you because of your watch.
I didn't care about the watch. He's like, he's like, you have a multi-tool in your wallet. You need to take that out. I'm like, what? I'm like, I have a what? He's like, multi-tool. I'm like, what?
You know what? My what?
I'm like, it wasn't registering what he was saying. I'm like, a multi, what? He goes, yeah, in your wallet. I'm like, and then it kind of, I'm like, oh, I'm like, I don't know where that's at in my wallet. I'm like, I've got several. You know, it's a wallet. You've got. I'm sitting there going through. I pulled out the picture thing, and I'm like,
Okay, that's why you were taking everything out of your wallet. Okay, I thought that was a little weird.
yeah, but yeah. So security tightened everywhere, but not a lot of the security tightening doesn't make sense. You know, they'll pull. You know, like at the airport. You
No
know,
liquids.
because God forbid you profile somebody like these are the people that are doing it. No, we're just gonna pull a 90-year-old grandma out of line to give her a search because that's who's doing it.
Don't let anyone take a bottle of water onto the plane.
Yes, yeah, bottle of water. Like there's no device that they can detect if it's an actual bottle of water or not,
You know, like eyeballs.
or noses. Um, so yeah, but conspiracy wise, I do believe, and to what extent I'm not sure, but the way our government is probably to the worst extent. I do believe our government knew not necessarily what the targets were, but that there was a plan in place to do something like that. I mean, there have been reports that the I don't know if it's FBI or CIA, whichever agency,
It's usually the CIA.
would knew that there was a high risk of uh, them planning an attack with airplanes. So I do believe that because our government loves any excuse to get into a war. So
Any excuse to get into a war and any excuse to limit freedoms.
yes, yes, and limit.
You know, those things the founding
movement.
fathers gave us, those pesky things.
So, Sean, what are your thoughts on being the youngest of us?
Being a literal child.
He's not. He's an adult.
I know.
He can even drink now.
It's shocking to me.
It's shocking to all of us.
Yeah, it's weird.
You make me feel old.
Well, what did you learn in school? Did you learn more than just Matthews? It happened.
So
Do
we
you,
had
do you
actual
remember more?
videos.
Well, we did too. It was
Yeah.
live TV.
Well, we had
Well,
a few videos,
I
but
did.
they tried not to show too much because I don't know. They had other things to teach.
they showed enough that we saw actual people falling out of the towers.
Well, yeah, everyone sees people falling out. They want
Okay,
you to get
yeah.
the gravity of the situation
Mhm.
so that you don't feel as bad about
Yeah.
being patted down in the airport.
Right. And on that note, just pause before you. Buildings on fire.
Mhm.
Are you staying in the building or are you jumping?
I would jump.
I know how to get through a fire. I can run
Do
through
you?
a fire. Okay, I can crouch on the ground,
It's
get
jet
under the
fuel
smoke.
burning hot enough to melt steel.
Listen, I'll take my
Bend
chances
steel.
with the
Bend,
stairs.
not melt.
Well, if it's
You know what?
bending, that's
Listen,
melting.
I'll find some office supplies, right? And I will wrap them
I
around.
will
What are you,
I
MacGyver?
will Windex this thing.
I will wrap them around the elevator cables, and I will like jump down that thing,
I don't-
firefighter style.
Okay, Matt.
Okay, John McClane.
Before I jump out the window.
He's John McClane.
Yeah. Yippee
You know who
ki
John McClane
motherfuckers.
is?
You're not MacGyver.
Or
I'm
MacGyver.
not MacGyver. I'm John McClane.
So anyway, go back to what you learned in school.
So we. So
By the way, my answer to that question is I would probably jump, only because burning is really painful. And if I know I'm going to die either way, I really like the feeling of free fall. So.
See, here's the problem with that is I don't know I'm gonna die if I run through the fire. I might die.
Oh, I know I'm dying.
Like I'm probably gonna die, but I might live.
If it's like a wall of fire and you're on like
Okay, if it's
the
like a
100th
straight
floor
wall.
of the Trade Center, you know you're dying.
I mean, if there's like a straight wall of fire, that's different than just like things are on fire. Like sometimes a place can be on fire, but there's not always like a whole
Right,
wall
and we
stopping
weren't.
it.
I'm assuming there'd be a wall of fire if a jetliner just crashed into the building. I'm assuming it's not patches of fire.
True. I mean, barring wall, if there was a wall of fire, yeah, I'm just gonna see what it's like to fall 100 stories. But if there's no like direct wall,
What if it was a ring of fire?
well, then I go down, down, down.
Sorry.
The flames they go higher.
So anyway, Sean,
So
what did you learn? What did our underpaid, highly qualified teachers teach you about 9/11?
I wouldn't use that word. Not allowed here. So. So. Oh gosh, now I gotta remember back to like 5th grade.
Pretty sure they were still showing us videos about this in high school.
Maybe for you.
Did you learn about 9/11 before you learned about LGBTQ?
Yes.
Oh, well, that was years ago too, though. So I'm sure now
Like,
you learn the other
The
thing first.
LGBTQ thing wasn't around until like middle school for me. I learned
Well,
about
it was
nine-
around. It just wasn't mainstream.
Right.
It wasn't a hot topic issue.
I learned about 9/11 in like 5th grade or something.
What did you learn?
So we learned that it happened, of course. Shocking, I know. So we saw the videos, saw the people jumping out of buildings, building actually falling, the giant cloud of smoke that popped up. We listened to actual like police recordings, like police phone call recordings
Uh-huh.
about it, about all of it. We saw a video of the plane actually crashing into the Pentagon.
I never saw that.
It was an experience.
It's good to know they didn't have guns, but they had cameras.
It was an artistry creation. Professional driver on a close course.
I hope you say that.
Just did.
Did you say corpse?
I said professional driver on a closed course.
I thought you said corpse. A closed corpse.
Most are closed.
No, you can have an open casket. So they showed, heard the police recordings, Pentagon.
Yeah,
Anything else?
I think there was a movie based on the plane that actually crashed from the
The Pennsylvania
passenger-
plane.
Yeah. And we
Yeah, I think
watched
there
that.
was there was a
We never saw that.
documentary. It might not have been out when you were.
Maybe.
Cause it might have been made because it takes a while to make those documentaries. They don't usually come out right away.
Maybe we watched like a few clips from that. 'Cause that kind of like encompasses all of it. And if I remember correctly, and I could be wrong, my memory isn't the best.
Better than ours. Of the
Debatable.
three of us, you have the better memory.
Presumably. So up until around like each year in the school system around here, like we did like a moment of silence on that day.
I think they do most places.
But they kind of stopped around the beginning of high school.
Okay. Which would have been. What year did you graduate?
2016 would have been the year he started high school.
So around 2016, they stopped.
Like they
What do you call it? Not honoring, observing
yeah,
moment of silence.
like they still talked about it, but
Mhm.
they didn't actively like
Right.
do stuff with it.
And even like a lot of like most places had stopped doing a moment of silence by then, like businesses and stuff
Mhm.
like. So I mean, that's one of the, like at the beginning we were talking about, well, enough time has passed. Well, we don't do a moment of silence for Pearl Harbor or D-Day or anything.
And actually came to a point in I think my junior year that they kind of just stopped talking about it altogether.
Really?
Yeah.
Even on September 11th?
Mm-hmm.
No, that surprises me.
That does surprise me.
So they're just like.
It's just another
Did you
day.
have school on September 11th? Was it
Yes.
a holiday?
It was not a
Was
holiday.
it a
Not
virtual
holiday,
day?
but,
No.
How do you remember that so well? That you know it's not a virtual day immediately.
Because we didn't really use virtual days that much.
yeah,
Fair.
they didn't use virtual days really until after.
Until
They had practiced virtual days.
Yeah.
Before COVID, but they
But
didn't
they-
really use them until after COVID.
Yeah, they didn't really start using them until
Because they
COVID
had
actually
talked
hit.
about doing away with snow days and replacing it with the virtual days, and they did a couple practices, but they never did it.
We had like virtual days sprinkled throughout the year,
Right.
but
So, did you or your friends or other people like mention that, like when they stopped bringing it day? Was anybody like nothing?
I think we all noticed it, but we didn't say anything about it. I know my
Do you think our government did it?
all I know is that someone did it.
Well, there's a.
That's profound.
What are your thoughts on the conspiracy and the actual event then? You've got a good 10 years of school teaching on it before they stopped.
So the whole jet fuel can't melt steel beams. That's a bunch of bullshit, in my opinion.
Yes, it is. Oh,
Especially-
jet
have
fuel
to melt
burns
them.
very hot.
Especially since a plane crashed into the beams.
Yeah, they're already going to be weak, and it doesn't
Yeah.
have to fully melt them. If it bends them at all,
And
the
I think they were
buildings-
like international flights, so they had like full fuel tanks. Like most people, I'm pretty sure, are aware that, like, if you fly from like here to Chicago, which we're in Indiana, so it's not far, they don't fill up the fuel tank on the plane. They give you enough fuel to get there, maybe enough for like another couple hours or whatever.
Yeah, just in case of weather.
Right, but I'm pretty sure the planes that were hijacked were specifically hijacked because they were international flights, which would have more fuel in them. So, yeah, not only do you have a high burning fuel, because jet fuel burns very hot, you have a lot of it,
Mhm.
Cover a large area.
and yeah,
And even if it doesn't melt it, like just the force of the explosion.
right,
Like I'm assuming if a plane crashed into a building, it's gonna explode.
right. It's not like they were full of diesel fuel, which burns like a campfire. Like gasoline is kind of explosive, diesel fuel is almost not at all explosive. It's just burns.
Did not know that.
Yeah, that's a very low. It's That's why they use it for trucks and stuff because they put a lot of miles on them and it's less impact on the engine. Like the engines last longer. Like truck engines last, million miles, whatever. I mean, they replaced the sleeves inside the pistons and stuff, but the engine itself, and that's one of the reasons is because it's a lower temperature burning fuel. And that's why like our car engines have spark plugs and diesels have a glow plug. It doesn't have to spark; it just has to glow like a certain. It has a lower. I guess it's like a lower flame point. It doesn't have to get as hot, but it also isn't explosive. It just kind of burns. And I could be completely wrong about this. I am not a mechanic.
You're closer than we are.
But I know like the vapor from gas is like explosive, like whereas diesel is not. Did you know back in the day,
Oh,
The
no.
day.
they used to have pails of gasoline next to the gas pumps that people would put their cigarettes out in.
Really?
What?
Yep. Because if the gas is sitting out open, it doesn't have the fumes. It's been sitting out there. So it's mostly the fumes, or when you aerate the gas, where it becomes flammable and explosive. Which is why when it's injected into your engine, it's kind of sprayed like a mist, which makes it highly flammable and explosive. But if it's just a puddle of gasoline, like in a pail, like yeah, it's not. It's very hard to ignite it.
Huh.
I've heard
Cigarettes don't burn hot enough.
I've heard people say that like even the gas that you're pumping directly into your car, like even that's not super flammable as is. Not
Well,
that I'm gonna
well, the
not
fumes
trust them
the
on it.
fumes are like
Yeah, but
when you're
when you're
pumping gas
pumping
and
it
you
in,
smell it. If you've got a good modern pump where it's got the sleeve and everything, and you put it all the way in, you're not getting the fumes, and you're pretty safe. But it's still like a cigarette is not
it's
really,
really not that
and
hot
it's not hot enough.
because it's
It
not.
takes a spark,
Yeah,
and
'cause
there's a flame on a cigarette, but cigarettes
there's
don't
not
burn
even a
very hot.
flame because like
Well,
it's not on
but it's
fire.
embers. It's like a spark.
It's yeah, it's
Yeah.
smoldering.
But yeah. So yeah. So you
I like the signs that say don't use your cell phone while you're pumping gas.
Yeah. Oh, we should just carry other signs with us and put them up saying MythBusters dispelled this. All right, so back to Sean. So it's baloney. It's bullshit that the rocket fuel can't melt steel beams, obviously. Because it does burn.
Rocket fuel.
Wait a minute.
Now that
That's
Now,
a different
I'm
conspiracy.
pretty sure that can.
you know the moon
But I'm
landing
not a
and,
rocket
the moon landing
scientist.
and 9/11 happened on the same day.
Different days, same studio.
It's also the studio that brought you JFK, or the studio that took him off the air.
JFK or the sequel
Yes.
took him off the air. That's a way of putting it. All right. Did you have anything else on what you were talking about, Sean?
Not really.
Okay.
You don't have anything else to talk about September 11th?
No,
Why not?
I just don't.
All right. One more quick little thing, and then we'll get off for our test dry run pilot, whatever. Um, Along the same lines, not the other conspiracies I had listed, but do you have a conspiracy that you totally believe in?
I mean, I don't know if the files ever came out. Did the files ever come out for the Kennedy
The
assassination?
X-Files?
No, like there was like a whole
I'm
series.
pretty sure they did, like, recently.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because when I was in high school, my senior year.
And again, I would look this up, but I don't have a keyboard.
Yeah, it's fine. Conjecture is the best information. Because I know my senior year of high school, which was a few years ago now, they were talking about like the date that they were going to be released was coming up.
Yeah.
I just totally
I'm
forgot.
pretty sure it was like last year. or maybe this year, because I'm pretty sure they said it was the CIA.
I mean,
Like it outright said it pretty
Mhm.
much.
for the longest time, that was the one thing that like you would not have convinced me that our government was not responsible for that. Not that I
So-
had any reason. I was just firmly convicted that the CIA killed Kennedy.
So you believe that before?
I believed that before, like, because I didn't know if the papers came out yet or not.
Okay.
But even without the papers,
I never really had a thought one way or the other on that. Like it doesn't. It wouldn't have surprised me if they did or if they didn't. Like I didn't. I've been to. Mommy and I went to the museum down there in Dallas
Mhm.
where he was shot. And did the whole tour of that. I don't know if either of you were with us.
No.
I was.
I was
You
not.
were with
Yeah.
us? Okay. So yeah, we went to that. And that was after COVID. Because they were like empty.
Yeah, it was like right after COVID.
Yeah, because we
was
were
like
all
right
masked.
after,
We were
like,
all
before
masked
it
up
shut
like
down.
that did anything. Speaking of conspiracies, wear your mask to protect me.
Listen, there's only one winner when it comes to illnesses, and that is the healthcare system in America.
Mm-hmm.
No, not even. It's the drug companies.
Big
Yeah,
pharma.
that's what I meant.
Well, the healthcare system. I mean, they make
That's a whole
decent
other
money,
scam.
but they only make decent money because they get kickbacks from the drug companies,
Yeah,
which
so
are making incredible amounts of money.
fun fact about healthcare: one of my friends, he has insurance, as most people do,
Yes.
and he had to go to the doctor for a checkup because he was having like lung problems. He was having a hard time breathing, so he went to the doctor and he was like freaking out. Um, and they showed him what his total would have been like after, like, if he didn't have insurance, it would have been cheaper
What?
because they
They jack
it's
up the
because they
prices.
give a discount if you don't have insurance.
Right.
And his insurance didn't pay enough on the original amount for him to pay less than the discounted amount. So he has been very upset about that.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's also uh, education. The fact that student loans are so easy to get and backed by the government 100%, you can't declare bankruptcy on a student loan. Like you have to pay. Like you could go broke and they'd still be like, when you get another job, pay us some money.
Did you know that when
But
you
that's
die, your next of kin actually do not get your debt?
right.
Whoever has your debt will ask them to pay it back, but they don't have to.
Right. Yeah. Oh, they'll try. Yeah.
Mhm.
I
But-
just recently learned this. I thought it was just a thing that most loans just kind of went on.
Oh yeah.
I
no.
didn't realize that they asked, but they actually had no right to get it from your next of kin.
No.
I think that's hilarious.
The
The more you know.
but did yeah. So the reason college costs so much is because of the government-backed loans that are guaranteed. Like if there wasn't no system in place to make sure everybody in America could get a loan to go to college that they have to pay back for the rest of their lives, then colleges would cost a fraction of what they cost.
And keep in
Because
mind,
otherwise no one would go.
a fraction of what they cost would still be like, thousands of dollars.
Well, I'm
Mhm.
talking a ridiculous fraction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even then, like, if you're telling me that 4 years in college will be like 10 grand, that's a hell of a lot better than what it is now.
Right. Yeah.
Like at the school that I went to for 1 year, that was 30,000 for 1 year.
Yeah. So what about you, Sean? Conspiracy you totally believe?
I
You
don't.
say flat Earth, I will smack
You say flat Earth, you're off. You're out. Take a nosedive.
if you say flat Earth, we're not getting out of here anytime soon.
If you say flat Earth, we're going to the edge.
Well, I don't believe in any conspiracy theory 100%. I do believe
Well-
that most of them, if not all of them, besides Flat Earth, have some
That's not
sort
a
of.
conspiracy theory. That's just an idiot theory.
You don't
has-
think there's a basis in truth for flat Earth?
No, I don't. I will die on that hill.
Flat Earthers proved themselves wrong.
Multiple times, in fact.
There was like a whole documentary about this.
Mhm.
The
Where
next episode, we have to show the New Zealand guy.
there was like a documentary or something where these flat earthers conducted an experiment where they had two fences with holes cut in them at like 17 feet off the ground, and then they were standing on one side with like a camera, and they had a guy on the other side with a flashlight, and they were whatever distances apart they needed to be. That they were saying, oh, if he holds it 17 feet high and we see the light, the Earth is flat. There's no curvature.
Right.
If he holds it up at 23 feet and we see the light, then apparently we were wrong. And at first they're looking at the camera and they're like, we're not seeing the light. Like, how high are you holding? It's like, yeah, about 15, 17 feet or whatever. And like, hold it up on your head and you see the light pop on their camera. And he's just like, interesting.
Like the same documentary that has that had the people who had like that like $5,000 thing that keeps track of the Earth's rotation. It's like, yeah, there's a piece of technology out there that you can buy for like a couple grand or something that keeps track of the Earth's rotation and like that axis it's on, and if it and like each day is like a 5%, like 5-degree shift or something like that. And they tested it out, and they said that if it does say anything, Earth is not flat; it's round. Guess what happened?
It said something.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's an app. That's part of. My favorite thing is the anti flat Earth people, which is
Not the flat Earthers.
or even the flat Earthers called the I've heard them refer to the people that are promote around the globe as the big globe. Like the whole reason that there's a conspiracy flat around Earth is there's a company that makes globes. It's like we got to keep this going. we are making bank.
What about people who made maps? They just out of business? I mean, they probably are anyway because of GPS and everything.
People that make maps are like, we have to keep this going because people think it's so hard to make a map because you have to count for curvature and stuff. And they're like, we just make that up.
It's just a snapshot. The countries are actually those colors. America's yellow.
Well, everybody knows China's yellow.
I think China's red.
Okay.
I think China's very
Who's yellow
red.
then?
Russia? I don't know.
No,
They're red too.
no, Russia's red. I don't know. Asians were always yellow growing up. I don't know what that was. I don't know why that was.
Their skin color.
It's a skin color
Yeah.
thing, I think.
I know Italians are green. They have a bit of green in them.
What?
Is that because of the parsley and the oregano?
What?
Like Italians have a small green hue to them.
What?
Are you trying to say that Italians are olives?
You're talking about the olive, which is not. I mean, olives are green, but it's not a green tint. I don't think.
Like Italian people have a small amount of more green hue than anyone else.
Green. What do you call it? Pigmentation.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Well, now you know.
I wish I didn't.
I don't see any green in you. And you've got a quarter Italian.
I'm not a full Italian.
You're like a pimento olive.
I'm just a piece of parsley.
All right. I think. So I think we're done. And I
Mhm.
think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come up with like a title thing, possibly. Can you edit in there in this?
In OBS?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think you'll need a separate editing software. Windows Media Player.
From what I can tell, that's actually pretty decent.
Yeah, I think they beefed it up recently.
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah.
You can edit in Windows. I didn't know you could
Yeah,
edit. I
yeah.
thought it just played.
you can
The
actually
Media
edit.
Maker?
Oh, I thought you said player.
Did I say player?
Either way, it's
I
the same
meant
thing.
Maker.
It's basically the same thing. I mean, either way.
I meant Media Maker.
But is that all? Is that installed, or do I have to install it
You
separate?
might have to install it, but I
Okay,
think
anyway.
it's free.
It is.
But I
It
think-
would be free.
I think this went pretty well. I think I'll upload it See if we can get our 4 followers on Rumble so we can stream live.
Okay.
How do you think it went?
Could have been a hell
I'll
of a lot
probably
worse.
cut this last part off.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
You think so?
Yeah.
You don't
Nah,
think
just leave it in. Leave it
I
in.
mean, whatever.
you don't think people want to see us talking about what we're gonna do to the footage?
I think it went pretty well though. And I mean, if we do that long on like just really one major topic,
We did that long talking about nothing.
so I think what we were saying earlier, like half an hour to 40 minutes, kind of covering one, maybe 2 topics, shouldn't be a problem.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And then
If only somebody else would add topics to the page.
hey, I will add them.
Anyone?
I just didn't. I want to add topics for like a dry run. Also, I just totally forgot.
I forgot, and I wouldn't even know what kind of topics I would want to talk about.
Just anything news related. Like I kind of wanted to talk about the failure of Ratchet and Clank's PC port.
I'm sorry, what? See, now it'll be a generation thing. Because I don't know what
Okay.
you're talking. I know Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, the video
I
game.
don't know what.
It's a brand new video game that
So,
they put out on PS5.
It's
a
okay.
while
So it's
ago.
not brand new. The game itself is not brand new
Oh.
anymore. It was a PlayStation 5 exclusive, and people were upset that they didn't port it to PlayStation 4 because there was a problem with everyone getting
Yes.
the PlayStation 5s. The reason they gave was that the PlayStation 5 has an SSD, solid state drive, instead of a HDD, hard drive disk, which loads faster by a lot. And the whole point of that game is it loads multiple things at the same time, like you have 2 worlds happening in the same place. So it has to load and render them both. And they said the PS4's hard drive, it didn't have the SSD, so it just couldn't do it. People were like, it's bullshit, but okay. So the game is now ported to PC, and on the system requirements, it doesn't list an SSD.
It says
Oh.
additional notes that SSD is required.
It didn't say that at first. At first, it said SSD is not required, and people were like, "What the hell? Where's my PS4 port?" And then, not even days later, I see this lovely little news update on my phone. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is performing like shit if you don't have an SSD.
I was gonna say if it doesn't need the SSD, why? Like, what would be the whole reasoning of? I mean, obviously it needs SSD because if you didn't, why would they bother to put it out for PC first before PlayStation 4?
Well, they're not ever going to put it on PS4.
Well, I know. If
Mhm.
they could, like, they're not going to shoot themselves in the foot and be like, well, forget our platform. We're going to put it on PC first.
People just thought that
Like it was a conspiracy. Like,
they thought that like Sony was like, don't make anything else for PS4.
Yeah.
We
No,
want
like-
this to be a reason people
but
buy
they
a
would
PS5.
put it out on PC.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that's because
Well-
Sony's trying to get the PC gamer market to cozy up to them. Because Microsoft, all their Xbox exclusives
I was
are
going to make
already
a
PC.
joke about big gaming, but that's an actual thing. So never mind.
It is.
Yeah, big
actually.
gaming is if you have
It's-
a PC, because everyone's fighting over your
Alright, I'm
attention.
stopping the stream.